Section 22 of Birds and All Nature, Volume 4, Number 5, November 1898. Recorded for LibriVox.org by Sarah Gordon. The Flowering Almond by Emily C. Thompson. The sweet, the bitter, and the flowering almond are all of a kin, and in this kinship many include also the peach and the nectarine. The flowering almond, or the dwarf almond, is a shrub which early in the spring, in March or April, sends forth its fair rosy blossoms before its leaves are sprouted. The shrub seldom exceeds 3 feet in height. The leaves are like those of the willow, only darker and of a more shining green. It is really a native of Kalmuck Tartary, but now is used extensively in gardens because it blooms so early and can easily be cultivated in any dry soil. The almond tree features in history, mythology, and poetry. In the Bible, we find 4 references to it. Exodus chapter 25, verses 33 and 34, chapter 37, verses 19 and 20, Numbers chapter 17, verse 8, Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 5. In this connection, it is interesting to note that Aaron's famous rod was the shoot of an almond tree. Theophrastus mentions the almond as flourishing in Greece. Cato also tells us that it was grown, but as a luxury, in Italy. The rest of its history is obscure, and all we know about its cultivation in England is that it was introduced during the reign of Henry VIII. Virgil, in the Georgics, welcomes the almond when covered with blossoms as a sign of a fruitful season. In ancient times, everything that was considered of any importance to the Greeks had some connection with the siege of Troy. The almond tree here fared especially well, for 2 stories have come down to us in mythology relating its connection with that wonderful event. Demophon, returning from Troy, suffered the fate of many other Greek worthy. He was shipwrecked on the shores of Thrace. He was befriended by the king and received as a guest. While at the court, he met the beautiful daughter of his host. Immediately he fell in love with the charming princess, gained her love in return, and made arrangements for the marriage. But Demophon was obliged to return home to settle up his affairs before he could take upon himself these new ties. So the youth sailed away, but never to return. The princess, faithful Phyllis, watched and waited, hoping in vain for the return of her promised lord. Her constancy was noted even by the gods who, when she was gradually pining away, turned her into an almond tree. Since then, this tree has been a sign of constancy and hope. The hope and dreams of a happier hour that alights on misery's brow springs out of the silvery almond flower that blooms on a leafless bough. Another version of the same story relieves Demophon of such gross inconsistency. It is reported by some that the marriage took place, and not until after the couple were happily wedded was the hero called to Athens by the death of his father. Day by day the young wife watched for his return on the shore, but he was detained until the winter passed away, and with it his faithful bride. In the spring he returned to find only an almond tree awaiting his coming. He realized what had happened, and in his despair clasped the tree in his arms when it burst forth into blossoms, although it was bare of leaves. End of section 22. This recording is in the public domain.